We can look at this two ways. One train of thought is that a cluttered desk is a sign of a genius. On the flip side, there are those who claim a cluttered desk means a cluttered mind. Listen, let's not judge. What's clear in all of this is that Steve Turnbo's office reflects what he cares about: his family, his town, and sports. And no sport had more impact on getting him where he is today than baseball. When Steve was in the 4th grade, an uncle gave him a baseball glove. That would change his life. Playing the sport every day, he says, helped keep him out of trouble. He slugged and fielded his way through McKinley Elementary and Hale High School. Then came baseball scholarship offers from Oklahoma, OSU, and the University of Tulsa. His mother wisely suggested that he select TU because in Tulsa, he could make contacts that might serve him in business. At TU, Steve was a solid hitting first baseman who was a hit off the field too. After graduation, Steve was hired as TU's sports information director. Then, he was hired by Tulsa's largest advertising agency, Advertising Incorporated, to do one job. Steve was assigned to spend a year organizing and promoting the opening of the McClellan Curve Waterway. His work paid off. 30,000 spectators attended the dedication at the Port of Catoosa, where President Richard Nixon was the speaker. Steve was then named Vice President of PR at Ad Inc., where a lot of his time was spent trying to book his clients onto Channel 8's Betty Boyd talk show.
That's a very colorful iron in front of you there from the Sunbeam Company. We used to think of things as just being plain old vanilla, but not anymore.
Steve left Ad Inc. and launched Turnbo and Associates in the Adams Building, with an office right down the hall from the Tulsa Press Club. One of those associates was his wife Norma, who did the bookkeeping. Out of the blue one day, Tulsa PR guru Chuck Schnake called Steve and suggested their two firms merge into one. Schnake and Associates would become the city's powerhouse PR firm.
They were a bit of the yin and yang. Chuck was much more of the internal guy, the one that was always pounding things out on the typewriter. Steve was always probably even more comfortable being outside in the community, outside engaging with businesses.
He always handled crises very well. And I think news organizations, and especially ours, always felt that he was honest with us when we asked the right questions. That built a great professional relationship.
Professional and relationships. Those two words perfectly sum up Steve's long public relations career. There is no possible way to count the number of organizations he has helped promote, or the number that he has counseled in times of trouble. He's been a tireless campaigner for education and for racial equality. He has advised politicians on how to improve the city and state. There may be no bigger booster of his alma mater. Following his mother's example of giving back to the community, Steve has set a whole new standard for PR professionals.
It didn't matter whether it was a bad news or a good news story. Honesty and integrity were the hallmark or the foundation of what Steve would provide advice-wise for his clients.
So Steve really taught me the value of relationships and how at the core of everything we do is getting to know people as individuals. And one of the things that I've always loved and appreciated about Steve is it didn't matter who you were or what level you were at in an organization, he wanted you to meet whoever he was standing next to.
And he does such a great job of bringing everybody to the table, convening people, getting people to collaborate, getting people to partner, getting people to jump in head first just like him.
Steve puts work into his work. He researches things, he gets to know people, he spends a lot of time getting the best information that he can.
Perhaps he made his name in Tulsa for it. If you're in trouble, you go to Steve. Too many people, if they had listened to him before they were in trouble, they never would have been in trouble.
So Steve had a quote that he loved to repeat, and it's one that I think also encapsulates Steve pretty well. And that was, people may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And when you spend some time with Steve, you don't forget how he made you feel.
I can remember early in my career seeing this list that Steve has, and I know no one here is surprised to hear that Steve had a list of all of the nonprofits, committees, boards, and so forth that he had served, and it was a multi-page document, and it made such an impression on me. His heart for humanity, for social justice, for embracing all people and treating everybody with respect was something that's just a part of the core of him.
You really can't talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all that Tulsa has done and is doing without talking about Steve Turnbo. He's made a ginormous difference in this community over the past 30 or 40 years.